everybody, it's Tuesday and we're on chapter 7. We're getting pretty close to the end of our book. It's Civil War on Sunday by Mary Pope Osborne, part of the Magic Treehouse series. And yesterday we learned a little bit about the weaponry in the Civil War. We read in chapter 6, which was titled Keep Low, about the muskets and the cannons. You guys watched a video about the weapons and hopefully colored your cannon picture. Chapter 7 is titled Helping Hands. The firing came to an end. The horses calmed down. The smoky air began to clear. Clara handed Jack and Annie each a canteen. And remember when we went on the Heritage Days field trip at the park, they showed us the canteen that was filled with water. So it's like kind of a water bottle from back in the day. And remember Clara, when they say Clara, they're talking about Clara Barton, who is was a real life nurse in the Civil War. Fill these quickly, she said. We have no time to waste. So they're going to fill their canteens with water from the creek. Jack's legs felt wobbly as he followed Annie to the creek. They filled their canteens, then climbed back into the wagon. Keep alert, said Clara. Look for the wounded as they come off the battlefield. So what does that word mean, alert? Keep alert. It means pay attention, right? Look around with your eyes, listen with your ears. Don't be daydreaming about what you're going to do when you get home. Don't be chatting with your sister. Pay attention, be alert. She snapped the reins. The horses started off again. As they bumped along, Jack looked ahead for wounded soldiers. There, said Annie. She pointed to a man limping toward them and waving his arms. The man looked very young, more like a teenage boy. His uniform was torn and bloody, but it wasn't a blue uniform though, it was gray. So what does that mean? Remember back at the very beginning, and you guys made your posters about which vocabulary words and pictures went on the north side and which one on the south side. And remember back in the very beginning, one of the first notes that Jack made in his notebook was here where it says blue is the north side, which is also the Union. Gray is the south side, which is also the Confederate Army. So remember he made that note in his notebook. Okay. So when they see that this soldier is not wearing blue, he's wearing gray, what do they know? As soon as they see his uniform, they automatically know something about him. They know that he's fighting for the Confederacy. He's fighting for the South. Clara pulled the horses to stop. But he's a Confederate soldier, said Jack. When someone is hurt, you give them a helping hand, no matter who they are, said Clara. Her voice got softer. I've seen courage and kindness on both sides of this war. Sometimes things are not as simple as they seem. Jack was glad that they had stopped to help the soldier. He jumped out of the wagon. Do you need a helping hand? He asked the young man. Thank you, the soldier said softly. Jack helped him into the back of the wagon. The soldier lay down on a pile of blankets and closed his eyes. Jack climbed back onto the seat beside Clara. She snapped the reins and they rode on. They came across more ragged men resting in the shade of the oak tree. These soldiers wore blue uniforms. So what does that mean? If she comes across soldiers in a blue uniform, that means they are fighting for the North, for the Union side. Again, Clara stopped the horses. See if any of those men need a ride to the hospital, she said to Jack and Annie. Jack glanced at the soldier sleeping in the back of the wagon. Can a Confederate and a Union soldier be together? He asked worriedly. So why is he concerned about that? What do you think that Jack is thinking here? We've already got a Confederate soldier in the back. What's going to happen if we pick up these Union soldiers? Because they're fighting, right? Like they're fighting against each other. And he's thinking like, goodness, what's going to happen if we put them both in the same wagon? Clara nodded. Sometimes men are simply too sick and tired to be enemies anymore, she said. Sometimes they even know each other. Many families and friendships have been torn apart by the war. So I've heard stories of brothers, cousins, friends that have fought on opposite sides, because if you have a friend that lives up north, if your cousin has moved up north or your brother lives in one of the southern states and then the war breaks out, you can be fighting against your own brother, against your own friend, against your own family. "Let's go," said Annie, hopping out of the wagon. Jack followed her. They carried their canteens to the men under the oak tree. "Hi," said Annie. "Does anyone need to go to the hospital?" "Only John, our drummer boy," a soldier said. "He's suffering from heat stroke, but we all need some water, miss." So heat stroke, that happens if you get too hot. So you can get really sick if you're out in the summer and it's really, really hot and you're out and you're running and playing and you're not taking a break to sit in the shade and you're not taking water breaks. You can get overheated and get really sick. And that's what happened to him. He's got a heat stroke. Jack saw a young boy lying on the ground. His eyes were closed. "Oh, Jack," whispered Annie, "he looks just like you." The boy did look a lot like Jack, just a few years older. "We'd better get him to Clara's ambulance right away," Annie said. She handed her canteen to one of the tired soldiers. Another soldier lifted the drummer boy to his feet. The boy opened his eyes and mumbled a few words. He tried to walk, but he swayed as if he were about to faint. "Wait," Jack grabbed the boy. "We'll give you a helping hand," he said. The drummer boy put his arm around Jack and Annie's soldiers. "Just a little further, John," Annie said. "You're doing great. Just a little further." The drummer boy moved as if he were walking in his sleep. His head hung down. His feet shuffled in the dust. "Take care of him," one of the men called. "We can't do without him." So here's the picture in the book of the drummer boy. And you'll notice it's the same fella that's right here on the front. Okay. So that is the end of chapter 7. And I wanted to show you, I did have a picture in my book of a drummer boy. There we go. This says, this is the same boy, and it says the far left picture is Contraband Jackson, and then this picture right beside him is Drummer Jackson. So this shows the drummer boy in uniform. I was looking to see if it told us about him up above. I was just reading to see if it said anything about the... I don't see. Well, look, we'll find some more information about him. But here's the picture of a real drummer boy in the Civil War. You see the picture there with this drum? Okay. All right, so that, okay. And then your assignment for today, Jack and Annie have had to be very brave. And you remember back in chapter 6, Jack was even repeating that to himself. He was going, be brave, because they had to be brave to stay there and not just go home. They've helped with wounded soldiers. They've even been out near the battlefield where they could hear the cannons, hear the muskets. So that's on their list of things to do. Be brave, and they have been really practicing that. So for your assignment today, what I want you to do is spend just a few minutes and think about a time when you have been brave. Think about a time when maybe you've been scared to do something, but you did it anyway. So in your reading copybook, I want you to write about that and draw a picture, but do some writing, okay? Even, for you younger guys, if you want to do some kid writing, if you want to make a list, if you want to, just write a sentence or two, that's okay. Older guys, I want you to do some good writing. So write several sentences describing a time when you have been brave, and then when we FaceTime tomorrow, you're going to share those with me, okay? See ya.